My overall take on this, I think CNN did a far better job moderating. In fact, a fair job. I think their game makers blew it. I think the people who run Joe Biden blew it by not having a studio audience there. I think it was a huge misstep for them. A lot of us didn't like that, wanted Trump to be able to perform. I think that was a massive difference maker. I think this made President Trump more effective in a way. He loves to entertain. He loves to amaze the audience. He loves to amuse. He likes to receive adoration from crowds. He likes to receive attention. It fills him. That wasn't there. It wasn't available. So we got instead a focused, somewhat bored President Trump. But we got something else. Absent the crowd, we got a President Trump who looked legitimately baffled at some of the things figurehead Biden was struggling to say. I believe I saw in President Trump's eyes actual compassion for the figurehead. And I think that happened because I'm watching Trump watch this man try to put a sentence together. And his face is going back and forth, the president, President Trump. And at one point, we'll get to this clip. I looked at that and said, wait, he's not taking a political shot. That's not a political shot. That's a human comment. This is this moment that I believe if there was a studio audience there, I believe President Trump would have been, through the character of who he is, who God made him, I believe he would have clowned this. I believe it would have been difficult for him to not clown it and to maybe even mock the figurehead. But because of the setting where the game makers at CNN aired, where the people who run Joe Biden aired, President Trump was not drawing energy from the crowd. He wasn't drawing energy. There was no energy to be drawn. He's next to, God forgive me the phraseology, but he's next to someone who's effectively a mental corpse. This moment.
Move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look,
That's if you look at President Trump, he's actually engaged in active listening. He's actually leaning over to the figurehead, listening to him, and his face becomes sad and confused. And he says, actually, I no idea what he said at the end of that sentence. And then that phrase, I don't think he does either, that could seem like a shot. It doesn't seem like a shot. It seems sad. Another instance, this is just Biden absolutely blue screening. And I go back to this discussion in my mind, thinking about the White House. Hey, the boss won't take his pills. He won't take his shots. He won't take his B16. He won't take his Adderall. And this debate had to occur. Put the Adderall in his ice cream. Put it in his milk, wipe it on his milk toast, whatever. Make Jill give it to him. She's a doctor of something, not medicine and not an actual doctor, but we call her doctor. Let her shoot him up while he's sleeping. This moment.
With dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death.
I mean, and that's a shot. But again, the look on President Trump's face is active listening. When you are with a dementia patient, one of the things you don't do is rush them. If you have a functioning soul, they had to talk about the border. Biden's face here, as Trump was actively listening to Biden, and this is a sign of respect, literally Trump was turning his face towards the figurehead, trying to make sense of what he's saying. It looked polite. Biden, as Trump is speaking here, I'm watching his eyes, and God has blessed me with one thing very clearly. That is, I get the setup here. I get what's going on. I could watch the staging. Biden is in what's left of his mind, the mind left within mush. He's trying to memorize, trying to bring back what he's been told to say. It's clear as day on the man's face.
He decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from mental institutions, insane asylum, terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now, all terrorists, all over the world, not just in South America, all over the world. They come from the Middle East, everywhere. All over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open. And he didn't need legislation because I didn't have legislation. I said, close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president. Brandon, just speak to him. But look, we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never been anything like it. And people are dying all over the place, including the people that are coming up in
Thank you,
caravans.
President Trump. President Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in his administration, kill three American soldiers. That's the only terrorist that's there. I'm not saying no terrorist ever got through, but the idea they're emptying their prisons, we're welcoming these people, that's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said. Once again, he's exaggerating, he's lying.
There's the response. The look on the figurehead's face. At the end of that, it's anger directed at the moderator. He is not looking with those angry, dead black eyes at Trump. He's not looking at the camera. He's looking at the moderators. Because I think the figurehead expected the moderators to jump in and rescue him. When you're making a claim that terrorists have not made it across the border, there's no data to support that, it's helpful to have data. The Border Patrol, in fact, has come out and said we have not endorsed President Trump. We're not endorsing anybody. People from the Border Patrol Union have endorsed President Trump, no doubt. The data is we continue to find people at the border who are on terrorist watch lists. The talk of the border continued.
Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country.
It's difficult to say that he hasn't. And there at the end, there's the Biden smirk. The Biden smirk during a conversation about gang members being allowed to come into this country and rape and kill. Being allowed to not just come in, but then stay once they're caught. Who won the debate? Biden, 33%, President Trump, 67%. Now, this could be a very clever plan from the people who run Joe Biden to set this up so there's a rope-a-dope thing so that now Trump thinks, okay, that's it. They're not going to give him his drugs anymore. So now they can create a comeback story. Joe Biden is the comeback kid because now you have Joe Scarborough saying he should bow out. You have many people on MSNBC, CNN saying the same thing, Van Jones saying it. So then they could now drug the figurehead, fill him up with his Adderall, fill him up with his B12 shots, whatever, Hunter's cocaine, whatever. He comes back and imagine the story. Joe Biden's the comeback kid. Everybody thought he was down. President Trump thought he had him beat. Not tonight, as Joe Biden shows up utterly juiced. They did, in fact, talk about golf. Thank you for asking.
Just take a look at what he says he is and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie that he's
carry your own bag. This is just a more polite version of shut up, fat. Remember that? Give you a push-up contest. Yeah, pushing up what? Your trousers? And President Trump at this point just started to laugh. Handicap down to a 6. Remember this. This is the same Biden. That Roger Staubach was a good character, and he needed to play ball. I had a future in politics, so I bowed out because I wanted him to have first chair as quarterback, and as Staubach, he turned out to be okay. I don't know golf. I think a 6 is a pretty low handicap. That sounds like a pro golfer level to me, so Trump is smirking. Be glad to play golf with you if you carry your own bags. Think you can do that? You can't walk up steps. Joe. Jill guides you. Barack Hussein Obama grabbed your wrist. Okay, Joe. Yeah. Ice cream's over here.
The 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I had, how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn.
Let's not act like children.
Oh, my gosh. I missed that last time. That's Donald Trump saying, let's not act like children. And more Biden.
Wants to get away with, get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies.
He wants, okay, no one knows. And by the way, if you're not watching the video service, you're not seeing his eyes. Those are black, weird eyes. Am I wrong? Those are black, weird, black eyes. Those are weird eyes. There was more.
President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term. How do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever.
Okay, that's so bad. Because now you're reminding people, I've been doing this forever. I was, when we just first started thinking of how to make money out of politics, I was right there at the beginning. I got my feet wet. I got in on the top of the pyramid. I was like the third guy in Amway.
Elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. Well, the whole idea.
The whole idea that this is about age. It's never been about age. President Trump showed a human side. I'm not saying it's not always been there, but it's not always been evident. CNN made a gross mistake. Their game makers, the DNC, made a gross mistake. A lot of us who criticized the decision to not have an audience made a gross mistake because we saw another side of President Trump. We saw executive Trump. We saw human Trump. And with Biden, we saw the same thing. Not the executive, because he's not one. We saw his humanity. Broken, cracked, decrepit, and instinctually corrupt.